Hi guys, my name is Zenande. In today's video, I'll be talking about the reason why I don't like going home during holidays. I've been thinking about this video for a while now, but I was worried that you guys might misunderstand me. And then I realized that I'm not the only person who doesn't always get excited about going home. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this video. Let's get into it. My motivation to study in grade 12 was the promise of going to university, to live in a university residence. The promise of moving out of home and going to live on my own. Moving from Cape Town to Joburg was scary, I'll tell you that, but it was also exciting because it meant that I was going to be very far from home. And I know this sounds really weird because there are many people who studied in universities that are closer to home so that they could go see their families on weekends. Guys, it's so bad that I don't even get homesick. Like, I haven't been home in 2 years and I don't get homesick. Of course, I talk to my parents every single day and maybe that helps as well. Another interesting thing was that when I got to university, after every exam, people would like literally pack their things and go home. When things get difficult, I'd watch students packing their things and going home. Like, you know, when life gets really rough, people will be like, no, I'm going home. No, I'm going to see my mother. And I'm sitting there like, guy, when life gets tough, I'm not going home. I'm not going home. I realized that I was not the only person experiencing this when I was talking to one of my mentees. She was in high school then. She said her goal is to get out of home. Literally, the reason why she's studying is to get out of home. And I was like, oh, so I was not the only person who wanted this. I was not the only person who was driven by literally the possibility of moving out of the township, moving out of home and just being on my own, get my life together. Of course, study and pass and do well in life, but just get out of home. And it's interesting that now that I'm old and I can afford to not go home, I can afford to have a place. I have my own place now. I can literally stay at my place and not go home during December. I mean, I still go home, but like now that I have that option, I always think about every December. I'm like, should I go home? And what does that mean? And for how long? You know, it's so interesting, man, because like literally people every December, I have friends who go home literally 10 times a year. And I haven't been home in 2 years. And it's not even because maybe I don't get along with my parents. I get along with my parents. My dad calls me every single day. Maybe let me get to the explanation. To give you guys a backstory, I'm from Gwalanga, which is a township in Cape Town. Before I moved to Langa in grade 8 to start high school. Before then, I actually went to different primary schools in the Eastern Cape. And so I had like one house which was like my permanent house, but I moved a bit, right? And so when I got to the Western Cape, I had already learned to live on my own, to survive on my own. I already knew what I wanted to do with my life. And it was actually difficult for my parents because they had lost years of parenting me. I had survived life without them for a very long time. And because I knew what I wanted and my goal was to be educated, get my life together, build a stable home for myself. Actually, my goal was to literally escape poverty at that time. And so I couldn't mess up my life, but there's nothing really they could have done for me besides giving me guidance here and there. I think one thing that my mother did for me, which saved me from a lot of problems in Cape Town, was to make me get home early. My mother had one room, which is as soon as the street lights turn on, you have to run home and turn on the lights. She was so dramatic to the extent of literally sitting in a dark house if I didn't get home to turn on the lights. And because of that, I had to be home early. And so I'll always be grateful to her for introducing that rule and making sure that I got home early, because I didn't experience a lot of things that my peers experienced. I didn't go to parties because my mother didn't allow that. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink. Literally, there's certain things that people did which messed up their lives, and I couldn't do those things because I had to be home by 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, depending on whether it's winter or summer. And so I'm always grateful to my mother for that. But other than that, guys, there's literally nothing she could have done for me. I was a teenager. I'd already lived life, I don't want to say on my own, but I'd already developed as a person. And the second thing that really worked was that most of the things that I wanted to do were in line with the things that my mother or my parents wanted me to do. For example, I'm not a person who likes crowded spaces. And so even though my mother forced me to be home early by giving me the responsibility of being the one to turn on the lights, and sometimes literally sitting in the dark until I come back home and turn on the lights, even though she did that, I also didn't like being outside. I didn't like crowded spaces. And also, I had already survived real poverty. And so I knew that I couldn't mess up my life. And so because of growing up, being that child that's always home, I started being seen as the responsible person in the house, right? And guys, let me tell you, the cost of being the responsible, dependable child is actually the main reason why I don't like being home, because no one has ever had to worry about me. As I've already explained, I don't like crowded spaces, and so I didn't go to parties. I don't drink. I never smoked. And so my parents were never worried about me. I usually say I don't think they would know what to do if I were to fall apart in front of them. Because guys, listen, beginning of this year, my life was literally falling apart. And I phoned my dad and I was like, I'm thinking of going home. My dad's response was, come home, there are a few things that needs to be fixed. Because guys, I'm a fixer. When I get home, I get shown things that have been damaged and needs to be fixed. That's my role. When things are not working out, I get a call from my dad. A, B, and C is happening and I need to have an opinion, which I'm grateful for because it makes me the person that I am today, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. But sometimes things are just falling apart and I need someone to hold the space for me, and that person can never be any of my parents because they have never seen me fall apart. At best, when things are not working out for me, I call my friends. And so guys, basically what I'm saying is, home for me is not a place where I go to chill. I actually go home for usually 5 days, come back, take a break, relax, because when I get home to work. I get home to worry about things. I'm a problem solver at home. And so, for example, when my peers in varsity would go home when things were falling apart, guys, at home, I'm the hope. I ran out of space while I was talking. I can't even remember where I was. But basically, guys, I was just here to say that I'm one of those people who don't like going home during December. I don't like going home because for me, home is a place where I go to fix things, where I go to work. I don't go home. For me, is not a place where I go to when my life is falling apart, because I'm seen as this person whose life is perfect, a person who knows what they want, a person who's dependable, who's reliable, who is a problem solver. Literally, my parents come to me for solutions. If there's something that's happening at home, I'll literally get a call and being told about A, B, and C that happened, and I need to find a solution. Just the example I gave you, when this year my life was literally falling apart and I wanted to go home, the response that I got from my dad was, come home, there's few things that need to be fixed at home. And it's not because he doesn't care about me. It's just that he has never had to worry about me. And so when I say I'm coming home, he already assumes that I'm here to do A, B, and C. And guys, maybe it's my fault because I'm a person who just likes fixing things. When I get home, if something is wrong, I'll fix it. If someone needs something, I'll do it. I'll literally give up anything that I need to give up in order to make their lives easy. And I think it's because I struggled a lot growing up. And so I don't want another person to experience the same things that I experienced growing up. And another example, just to show that this is a pattern that I created. When I started working, I saved money. At some point, I stayed at home for a year to build a house at home with my trainee salary. Those who did the SAICA training will know that trainees don't get paid a lot of money. Literally, that money is just enough for your rent and you to survive. But I saved that money and I built a house at home. And that created an expectation, of course, that, oh, Zenande, we can trust her. There is a Xhosa saying, eti akungenwanga mali ekhaya, which means you don't need money to go home. And unfortunately, guys, I need money when I go home because I've built this expectation where I go home to fix things. Guys, I was that child who was always understanding when my parents didn't have money for things, who never followed fashion trends because I understood that my parents don't have money. I was that student that got jobs during holidays so that I could have money to go back to school. So no one has ever had to worry about me. At least my parents never had to worry about me, especially when I was in varsity. And so now that I'm working, they just think that I have my life figured out. But anyways, guys, this is the end of this video. I hope you enjoy it. Please like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and please comment if you have anything that you'd like to say.